मेरे ख्याल से the most important thing is that most of us we form a habit. So people who think a lot, who plan a lot of things, they have great ideas about startups. They think about the plans that they have. It's very easy to develop that pattern, that habit of continuous thinking. And then as I said before, there's the other side where you get caught up in the things that you have to do. Okay, so about ke ye karna hai, I have to do these certain things for as far as the business or the career is concerned. And so I think it's important कि आप उस pattern के अंदर you don't get lost, and it's important to try and break that habit and figure out that okay, if you're leaning more towards one particular side of things, just take a step back, think that if you're doing a lot, you need to just pause and think about what you're doing, and if you're thinking a lot, then you need to pause and start doing. So that's, I think, an important aspect. And I've personally found it, very helpful to take a break and make sure that, I'm not following a continuous pattern.
ज़रूरी नहीं है कि हर बंदा जो होता है वो दे आर गुड एट हिटिंग दैट राइट बैलेंस कि वो दे कैन डू बोथ स्टफ equally well. So people, what they do is they tend to lean towards the thing, maybe strategy or execution where they are good at. जो जो उनकी strong suit होती है वो उसकी तरफ eventually they move at when they take one side.
I think people who think a lot and plan a lot, I think that could be more dangerous, than the other side, right? Because I think when you're, executing things, you get data from it, right? So, for example, if you have two or three different things that you want to do in your life, if you go ahead and try those one, two, three things, then you will understand, okay, this thing has worked for me, this hasn't. So the fact that when you go ahead and you try and do different things, you get that information. That information will force you to think that okay, I tried this thing, did it work or not? So I would definitely lean towards more towards executing. My only point is that don't get lost in the execution bit, thinking that execution is the holy grail. You have to be doing all the time. And I feel like, especially when you grow in your career and you get to the executive kind of, let's say, roles, that is a common mistake that a lot of businessmen, a lot of individuals make, where they forget about taking a step back and figuring out, okay, what they're actually doing, kya wo itna, effective hai, could they be doing things a little bit differently? That's, I think, an important aspect.
What was that instance where you decided to just start playing for both sides? I mean, maybe in the beginning you were more inclined towards maybe in the strategic role, but I think something must have triggered you to कि नहीं दोनों
Yeah,
करना. What was it?
I think the main thing is when you're trying to scale a business, you just cannot do 100 things, right? For example, for me, I could not be on the operation side of things. That's where I was stuck a big part of my career, or so a lot of my time was being spent in the operations, and I realized that if we need to scale, I just need to step back. I need to make sure that I'm giving responsibilities to the people who can take care of the operations, right? And then empower these team members to make sure that they're giving it their best, and set certain expectations so they feel involved in the overall mission, what we're looking to do and everything. So I think for me it was I guess 1 or 2 years ago when I realized that I just I'll burn myself out if I'm trying to take care of making sure that the projects are being delivered right, and making sure that the new products are coming in, make sure that the environment of the office is good. So when you look into scale, you just have to step back. It's not a choice. You have to step back and you have to start giving people more responsibility. So I think that's when the thinking came in, the strategy bit came in, and I think it has helped. I think definitely in the beginning stages when you're looking to build a business, you have to be in the execution mode, because you have to make things work. You're definitely going to be wearing multiple hats. When you're starting out, you don't have the liberty of having a lot of funds, right? So for example, you are the HR, you are head of creating content, as far as our particular business concerned, you are head of delivery and all this stuff. So you have to do those things, and you have to get them right. And once things start happening, then you can slowly start to figure out that okay, how can I make a system that runs by itself, and things are more automated. So yeah, that's, as I said before, I think initially you have to be in the execution mode. Make sure that you explore all the different options, you explore all the different things that can happen, the kind of results that you can get in, and then from all the data that you collect, then you figure out, okay, these are the few different things that have worked for me and I need to capitalize on these things, and these are all the things that have been wasting a lot of my time, and you need to drop those. Initially things are going to go wrong. You have to anticipate that once you start delegating and once you start giving the stuff that you are doing, and somebody else is going to come and do those things, they're going to do it differently and they may make mistakes because maybe you've been doing it longer. You have to let those mistakes happen because those mistakes will make them a better person at doing what they're doing, right? So initially, I think a lot of people, they get stuck. They feel like, okay, this person I hired and they had to do this particular thing, and they're not able to do it as good as I do. ठीक है, फिर क्या होता है कि they would try and replace them, or think कि maybe the stuff that they delegated वो सिर्फ वो ही कर सकते हैं, and they take those responsibilities back to them, and that is fine. But the only problem is then you would not be able to grow. When you start delegating and then you step back, you just feel like you're the only person that can do all the stuff. Then just know that it will be very difficult to grow from there.